Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Peace and peace to all whom this presentment shall come. Let it be known by this open public declaration and notice that on Armistice Day, the 11th day of November 2008, as mainstream media do not ensure the public remain informed, this document is required to be read out loud in public in the style of a town crier.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye!
Therefore, by this sincere public declaration, all attempts shall be made to ensure this proclamation is not withheld and is also widely available at www.greghallett.com and on YouTube under Helen Clark Murders, Year and a Day Rule, New Zealand. The period of a year and a day was considered a sufficient and convenient period to represent a significant amount of time. Its use was both generally and specially to define a permanence and to provide clarity. Thus, if something was in place for at least a year and a day, it is considered permanently and clearly so. The period of a year and a day is a well-established and enshrined principle of Westminster law, widely recognised under principles of common law legal systems, particularly those that trace their legal heritage back to Britain. This includes America, Canada, Australia and New Zealand. Over time, common law has been refined by judges as a legal system developed through decisions of their courts and tribunals. Common law uses previous decisions to influence current cases and binds future decisions. The only law that overrides common laws are the laws of God and nature and the rules and principles of equity. Where there is no common law, judges have an obligation to make equitable law, thus creating honourable precedent. If a similar dispute has been resolved in the past, the court is duty-bound to follow the reasoning used in that prior decision. This principle is known as stare decisis, the principle that similar cases should be decided according to consented, principled rules to reach similar results. This equitably lies at the heart of all common law systems, and similar principles include a life sentence for murder and a prolonged sentence for treason. The period of a year and a day has been applied to published charges of murder against Helen Clark, the most senior public figure, with many aides and associates remaining fully informed and without excuse. Under the common law, the notion that Helen Clark is a murderer is now enshrined in permanent clarity and is clearly permanent. Her victims remaining indefinitely unchanged in their perpetual existence for indefinite duration in the same state and place in the permanence of nature. And the public with clear perception and lucidity of thought and style, free from obscurity, without ambiguity or obfuscation, and in all manner easy to understand, comprehend and clearly express, with brightness, splendour and crystal clarity, that Helen Clark shall hereby be pronounced a murderer. When the Short Act of Parliament abolished the year and a day rule was given royal assent on the 17th of June 1996, it only removed the conclusive presumption that death was not murder if it occurred more than a year a day since the act or omission that caused it. It did not remove the clear and permanent fact that the murder had occurred and the victim was still deceased. The precise scope of the year and a day rule may have been unclear. However, it was clarified in the House of Lords where Lord Dorman's second reading stated, quote, "It certainly applies to murder, manslaughter, infanticide and aiding and abetting suicide. It may also apply to motoring offences in which death is an element, causing death by dangerous driving, causing death by reckless driving while under the influence of drink or drugs, and aggravated vehicle taking causing death." The same 1996 Act has only 3 sections. Section 1 simply states the rule known as the year and a day rule is abolished for all purposes. However, all purposes by Privy Council decree only applies to offences involving death by act or omission if more than a year and a day has elapsed. More fully, the 1996 Act Section 1 states, the rule known as the year and a day rule, that is the rule for the purposes of offences involving driving and of suicide, an act or omission is conclusively presumed not to have caused a person's death if more than a year and a day elapsed before he died, is abolished for all purposes. Section 2 allows for prosecution where a death occurs more than 3 years after an injury. Section 3 applies where the accused was previously convicted of an offence connected with the death, e.g. grievous bodily harm. however requires the Attorney General's consent before proceeding. This now means, without reservation, that Helen Clark can now be charged with murder by her own act or omission to deny the allegations, which occurred more than a year and a day ago, and this can now be spoken about with clarity and permanence due to the publication of such for more than a year and a day. Publication is fully supported by the principles of the common law year and a day rule and was not abolished in 1996 as affirmed by the Bill of Rights Act 1990. It is therefore that I now, as the freeborn living breathing man known as Joseph Gregory Hallett, hereby charge the ousted Prime Minister Helen Elizabeth Clark with the complicity, conspiracy and involvement to the murder and attempted murders in part or in full with causation or command by deceit, willing accessory or unimparted foreknowledge of Chris Beebe on the 19th of March 2000, Christopher David Beebe, Sir Peter Blake on the 5th of December 2001, Peter James Blake, Greg Hallett on the 2nd of April 2002, Joseph Gregory Hallett, Greg Hallett on the 23rd of August 2002, Joseph Gregory Hallett, David McNee on the 20th of July 2003, David McNee, Sir Peter Elworthy on the 13th of January 2004, Sir Peter Elworthy, Michael King on the 29th or 30th of March 2004, Michael King, Greg Hallett on the 14th to 22nd of May 2004, Joseph Gregory Hallett, David Longy on the 13th of August 2005, David Russell Longy, Rod Donald on the 6th of November 2005, Rodney David Donald, Greg Hallett in July 2006, Joseph Gregory Hallett, Augie Hour on the 10th of June 2007, Augie H. Hour Jr., Greg Hallett on the 27th of July 2007, Joseph Gregory Hallett, Greg Hallett on the 26th of October 2007, Joseph Gregory Hallett, Greg Hallett on the 17th to 27th of March 2008, Joseph Gregory Hallett, taking a standing order hit out on Greg Hallett on the 3rd of June 2008, as lodged in the Auckland District Court on the 2nd day of July 2008 under a Notice of General Appeal, Summary Proceedings Act 1957, CRI 2006, 004 021217 and CRI 2008 004 13851, where I have not seen or been presented any material fact, genuine issue or evidence which does not demonstrate that Helen Elizabeth Clark, Prime Minister of New Zealand, as further charged, was not a KGB agent, graduate of the St. Petersburg Tavistock, and was not a former St. Petersburg prostitute and or contract killer. And that Helen Clark is not in breach of the Declaration of Helsinki, attempting to kill a citizen, then finding them to fund the existing murder attempt and or the next murder attempt. And that the Declaration of Helsinki 1964 was not derived from the Code of Nuremberg 1947. And I sincerely believe no evidence to the contrary exists. Others will also accordingly be charged in the near future. The above is an exhibit sworn in an affidavit in the High Court of New Zealand on the 11th day of November 2008. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye.